Hey everybody, this is B from Kongs R Us, and welcome to The Next Level. This is my weekly podcast show where we bring you next level things, guests, community members, projects, mods, and more. And this week, I'm super excited to bring you guys a couple of guests that I am customers of. I love supporting any of these modding businesses that are providing next level products for your machines. And today, I have several folks that have created some upgrades to your Arcade1up Dragon's Lair, but they also offer other products too. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about that beautiful thing over there, as well as this thing. I think some people are really curious about that waterfall deck, but here we are. We're super excited. Thank you guys all so much for being here today on a Thursday. Hope you guys are having a fantastic week. We got a lot of people here. Endless One Up. I just have to say Endless. Thank you so much for that big super chat last week, a week ago. That Blitz stream was amazing in Chicago. Endless, you've been a super big supporter. Steps is here. Hello. Nerd Gaming is here. Vessel is here. Bill Wright's here. Capticorn. I like that. Catacorn Storm. Steve Schwartzentruba is here. Sup, Trekkie? Will's here. A Tran Fanatic. Jay, Steven, Rami. And by the way, later on this evening, we will be giving away a free, I said it, a free acrylic waterfall deck for your your Dragon's Lair cabinet. So stay tuned to that. We're going to be giving that away a little bit later on the show. So there'll be lots of good stuff today. But let's, without further ado, introduce somebody that I feel is a legend, not only in the home arcade space, but I would venture to say in the general arcade space. He's been providing a lot of services to not only repair, do artwork for your arcades, custom things that you want to add to it. But he's been doing stuff for the home arcade space too. He is a legend. I feel like it's a pleasure to have him on the show. The legendary Joe Szabo. What's going on, man?
How are you? How's it
Good.
going, guys?
Thank you so much for joining the stream. I know I messaged you super last minute. I'm appreciative that you took the time to be here. But for folks that don't know who Joe Szabo is, you want to just do like a quick little intro for yourself, and I can pull up some B-roll in case people want to see who you are. So go ahead and do a quick intro.
Sure. So I'm the owner and designer and everything at Szabos Arcades. I've been in the business for over 30 years. We kind of focused on the arcade industry, I'd say, in the last 10 years. But prior to that, I did a lot of sign work, doing like vehicle signs, custom Harley painting, airbrushing on T-shirts, just any type of artwork that you can imagine, from advertising to custom stuff, murals, just everything. And slowly it evolved because as I was a younger kid, I was always a big gamer. So it was just natural for me to eventually turn that into, getting into the arcade world. So we use all those different techniques and things that I've learned through the years, and now being able to put that into the arcade industry. So we try to provide, a top quality custom service to the community.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so you got so popular. In fact, you were interviewed by a big company there. So this is Joe in an NBC Sports interview talking about your collection and just your background. And so tell us a little bit about this interview and, what we're looking at right here.
Yeah, so this meant a lot to me because a lot of people that are in the industry, I'm not going to say a lot, but some are into it just for the business. But I'm as much of a collector and avid gamer as the next guy that's buying stuff from me. So I have such a huge passion for gaming. And in this episode that they shot, it really wasn't about the business at all. It was more focusing on just me as a collector and what it means to me and what it means to our family. You know, I try to incorporate my wife and my daughters into it so that we all get to enjoy it. And obviously, if your wife and your family are involved, then it's going to be an easier pill to swallow every time you buy a new game. You could use
Yeah.
that as an excuse. You know, you
Yeah.
can say, "Oh man, well, I got this game for us." You know, we could all enjoy it. So, but
Yeah.
no, we do. We really do. We have a lot of fun. And I don't want people to just think that I'm this person behind this scene that's only worrying about the business side of it. Because
Yeah.
if anything, I'm a bigger gamer than I am a businessman.
Yeah, no, that makes you more authentic when you're providing services to folks that you understand the games and the history and are a collector yourself. So when you did this, this was about a year ago now. Has the room changed since then? I think you said that it might be a little different.
Yeah, so it's so different that I'm actually not even in the same house. We moved, I'd say about 10 months ago. So it probably was, I don't know, 5 months after this was shot. We weren't even
Hmm.
thinking about moving at the time, but it just kind
Yeah.
of all happened. So now
Oh my
we're in a
goodness.
completely different space. The only thing that stinks, the house is much nicer, the property's better, but I did lose my theater. I don't have a theater now.
Ah, the
Um,
big like seat. That's
Yeah,
something
I
that
had a legit movie theater. I could have put it, but then I would have had to sacrifice my game space. So
Hmm.
I had to make a, executive decision. What do I do? I
Yeah.
still have a really nice size TV, and I took that sound system into my living room, but it's not
Hmm.
quite the same as a dedicated space that
Yeah.
was just solely for a theater. That was definitely nice.
Yeah. So I mean, this again is just an amazing game room collection. Does it look just as big? Did you have to sacrifice anything, or did everything make it to the new place?
Everything is probably here except that one. So that was a three-car garage, and
Hmm.
one bay was designated to the theater, and then the
Hmm.
other two side, the other side that was a two bay was designated to the game room. So
Hmm.
luckily, when I looked at this house, this space was already finished. It's a
Hmm.
little bit smaller, but I just kind of laid things out differently. So
Hmm.
it definitely has more pros than cons.
Yeah.
Bringing games in and out of this place is easier than the other one.
Yep.
Um, and
Cool.
it's just overall better for sure.
And you mentioned being a gamer yourself. So is there a game that you go to most often when you like walk into your arcade room? What's the first thing that Joe Szabo plays when he walks into his arcade?
Well, probably if I had to go classic, I'm gonna go with probably Asteroids. That's
Mm,
gonna be
good
my
one.
go-to old
Nice.
school.
Mm-hmm.
But I love playing sports games or
Hmm.
racing games. So I built a
Okay.
racing sim, and I just loved racing games, any kind of racing games, from
Nice.
motocross, street bike, dirt bike, cars, whatever. I just like racing games.
Nice. Well, cool. Well, thanks again for like giving us a little bit of inside history on that. You might have to do an updated game room tour, invite NBC Sports
Yeah.
to do it again or something, or another company. But love to see it
Yeah.
sometime. And so was that in Philly? Was that kind of the space? I said something about Philadelphia
Well,
there or
I
no?
was in Jersey, but they
Okay,
they were out of Philly and they came in. But it was really
got it. Okay.
a really unique experience. It was like a 9 hour shoot.
Wow.
It's crazy though. For nine
For a five
hours,
minute
they
video.
got 5 minutes. 5 minutes for 9 hours. But
Yeah.
it was cool. They supplied us with a whole day. They had it all set up, exact times of everything of what's going to happen. They had gave us a whole lunch. It just was a really neat experience, once in a lifetime.
Yeah, no, and now you have this amazing documentary, at least of a version of your
Hmm.
arcade, right? That's gonna live forever. You can always share
Absolutely.
that. At one point, you had that, right? So that's really cool to be recognized for your work. Again, not only for the arcade space, but just what you've done in general. So, your website, Szabos Arcades, is where have been doing the business side of things, right? And it's not just Arcade1up products, but it's lots of things here. So check out
Yeah,
Szabos
one up is
Arcade.
actually
Go ahead.
is just a small portion of the business.
Right.
Before one up even existed,
Mm-hmm.
I was doing this way before that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then obviously as I came in, it's a different crowd. It's a completely different type of customer base.
Mm-hmm.
We also sell on eBay and Etsy
Mm-hmm.
as well, but this is just the own page. I designed everything here that you see.
Yeah. Are
Um,
you an artist? Are these all your graphics too that you drew?
yes,
You
yeah.
did these? Oh, look at that. The beautiful stuff. What would you say? I mean, Arcade1up stuff here. That's my main audience here. But what would you say is your main kind of go-to like bestseller? Do you have a bestseller on your website? Just kind of curious.
Um, Probably anything Mortal Kombat, really.
Oh, okay.
That's still solid. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a big following for Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you do a
Yeah.
lot of reproductions. So you have custom toppers, full art kits, side art, marquees, bezels, control panel overlays, specific Neo Geo art, other cool stuff for the Legends Ultimate. And so let's talk about the home arcade space. Since you started probably in real arcades and doing artwork for that, how do you feel about the home arcade space in the last 3 years? Has it really brought more customers to you? You have a bunch of one-ups yourself that you mentioned.
Yeah, there's a lot of like true diehard collectors that
Mhm.
when this first came to be the one up, a lot of guys shunned it down and they just kind of were
Mhm.
like, this is gonna kill the arcade industry and but I actually feel the exact opposite. I feel that it's not an exact replica, so if anything, it just educates people to
Mhm.
maybe want an original. There's still many bar arcades out there and free play arcades out there that are banging busy just because
Mhm.
I can't help but to think that just the one up itself, re-sparked that interest on a
Yeah.
lot of people or bringing a new generation of people that maybe didn't know about it or just didn't know, didn't see it or just didn't think
Yeah.
about it anymore. But now they're starting to see it in Walmart. Let's just say somebody walks through Walmart and they see a Galaga and then they're
Mhm.
walking down the road and they see an arcade or a bar. Oh, let's go in there. Remember that Galaga was in, I mean,
Mhm.
it re-sparks that. Well, one advantage that I feel on my products that I have over a lot of competitors is all the artwork that I've done for the original cabinets that I've
Mhm.
spent countless hours on restoring, scanning, reproducing from the original artwork.
Mhm.
Unlike any artwork that comes from one up is not a true accurate reproduction.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
we're taking accurate reproductions that I've already done on real full arcades and now scaling it down to the one up, which is,
Mhm.
I feel, gives me a much larger edge over a lot of competitors.
Yeah, no, that's great. The art packages you put together, some are custom, some are like let's talk about Rampage. You mentioned that Rampage was one of the cabinets that you designed as custom topper, and there's some history to this. But is this again the Rampage War Tour custom art that you did, or is
Yes,
this
that's a
exact?
world tour. So I had Brian Collin actually design. I reached out to him, and
Mm-hmm.
he hand drew. He's the original artist of all the Rampage games. So he
Hmm.
actually, I got together with him, and I wanted him to be a part of this. Well, obviously, I mean he's a true master at this stuff. So
Yeah.
I hired him to do a custom design for me so that we could get this out there to people. And every one of these products comes with a
Mm-hmm.
signed signature of authenticity from him, each
Yeah.
one. So I think it's a really cool feature to have for people.
Yeah, this was amazing when I first saw that and you collaborated with that. The art is top notch. I can attest. I actually have some of your products in hand. I was waiting for something to be like, I know Szabo does a ton of great stuff. I was like, what is going to be my first product? And I got it. I'm going to get to the actual Dragon's Air topper in just a second here. I did have a super chat earlier that I want to just address. Stringer Films, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. It says Joe Szabo is hands down the best there is. So you have it here. You have a lot of folks in the chat that are fans and people are waiting to actually get some of your products in hand as well. So let's talk about kind of the product that you recently put up for the Dragon's Lair topper. That's the one that I'm going to talk about. And maybe just the process for creating a new product like this. You knew Dragon's Lair was coming out for the Arcade1up. What made you kind of first start off with the idea to even put this together? What's the production behind the scenes of you designing this and putting it together?
Let me switch to this because my earbuds are about to die. So hold on one
Okay.
second.
No
I
worries. And
don't
while
want to
you do
lose.
that, yeah, no worries. I'll just talk a little bit about what he's offering so far while he's doing that. But this is a sword acrylic topper. He has 3 different versions where it could fit on the original full-size cabinet, the Arcade1up, or even the iArcade. So it's the same topper, just might have a slightly different dimensions or attachment points for it as well. And so he has it here. It's right up here. It's super easy to install. My first impression of it was just the quality of the acrylic that he's using in the print side from the front and the back. It was just so simple but ingenious for just having it as a topper. So I will do a quick close up in just a second, but I want to check in with Joe. Are you back?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so the question was just what's your design process for, designing something like this for a cabinet? Like, I know you've done toppers before, but what started this, and tell us some background on this.
So one of the biggest challenges on this particular title is copyright issues. I have a
Mm-hmm.
close friend that is a huge gamer. He runs different groups in the community, and he actually is one of the people that looks out there for copyrighted Dragon's Lair type of artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's the guy that's gonna hit you up, and you're gonna get a letter, or
Mm-hmm.
that you can't sell it. So knowing that, and I actually reached out to them, and I was trying to get a licensed product to be able to sell for this, but I just couldn't land it. I couldn't get connected to the right people. It just never happened. So I reached out to this guy, knowing that he's out there looking, and I said, "How would you feel if I do something that's obviously related, but there's no actual title on it?" And a lot of times I don't feel that you really need to say it again when it's saying the same thing below it on the marquee. It's like you're
Mm-hmm.
just beating a dead horse. You know what I mean? You don't
Mm-hmm.
need to say Dragon's Lair when it's right below it. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought of something. What could I do to come up with something that, and there's not a lot, because obviously the characters are what you're drawn to, and that's the thing that everyone knows, right? So the only other thing there would be in my mind was some, and it came to me as soon as I seen that this title was coming out, that, man, something with a sword and the flames. And I let him even look at it. I'm like, "Do you think
Yeah.
this would be a problem as far as copyright?" He said, "I don't see any issue, because there's no IP, there's no actual things to it that's gonna, tie that person back to, trying to get you to stop making that." So that was really my biggest challenge, that I didn't have the freedom to just do your typical grab characters and start trying to make that
Mm-hmm.
work. So that was probably the biggest challenge. But I spent a lot of time in trying to give it depth, a lot of layers. There's a lot of hidden things. As you look through
Mm-hmm.
it deeper, you see different things going on, and one thing in front of the other. And then I wanted to add dimension to it. So,
Yeah, the 3D part, that you didn't just use one flat piece.
right,
The actual
right.
sword portion is 3D. It comes
Yeah,
out of
so
it
that's
too.
a separate piece. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
that adds that added layer. And then
Mm-hmm.
obviously the lighting, because that game is such a iconic game, and it has such a big presence, that I wanted that to have that lighting effect to, you know, add
All
to
right,
the
so
element.
let's show it off in person what it looks like right now. So I have a second camera that I'm going to try to point here so you guys can see what it looks like installed on my Dragon's Lair cabinet. Sorry if it's a little fuzzy. So it's just once you get it, it comes as a single piece. There's a strip of adhesive that you can just mount onto your cabinet. So it just fits fairly simply. It's not too complicated. And on the back side of it, this is just the back side that you can see. Oh, see if I can get my camera closer, because I didn't think I was going to go this far. But that's the backside with the LED strip there, and a USB port to plug into an adapter, and then a little off and on switch. So that is one thing that I guess if there's one area of improvement, right? Because it required a separate power source and not something that you can still flip on with the cabinet. Is that something you've ever tried to integrate, where you could find a way to get it powered
Well,
by the cabinet?
you can, but the only problem is, so I try to make my mods for a lot of people as simple as possible,
Yeah,
right?
just plug it
So
into the wall.
if you got to start drilling holes, or I mean, you could use one of the holes in the back, but
Mhm.
I just figured, depending on the person's skill set or what they're doing, I mean, you could always do a splitter and run that back into it, but
Yep.
this way it gives you freedom, and you're not tied. Like, that's why there's a USB on each side of that light too. So
Yeah,
let's say it's
that's
closer
right.
on one side to the other.
I really
And
like that
then
LED. Mhm.
the dimming, I'm not sure. I mean, I guess it still would work. You still would have that dimmer switch if you're going to plug it into the main power source. So you're
Mhm.
still going to be messing with that anyway. So
Mhm.
reason thinking like, what's the difference? You know what I mean? Might as well just keep it separately. But could it be integrated into the actual power? Absolutely, it could.
Yeah. What's the voltage on that LED strip? Is it 12 volts?
It is 12.
Is a 12-volt strip? Okay, so what I did was I did use a 12-volt Y splitter from the
Mhm.
power, and then instead of using you do provide a power brick that you can plug into an outlet, but I
Right.
just did a power splitter into this, and then I just left this on the outside. So that's what I did. You can
Yeah.
buy a Y splitter for like, $5 and just
Yeah.
have it run that way. Another thing you could do, right? Since it's not 5 volts, some people like to get that extra power from the PCB, but I wouldn't recommend that, right? Because that's only 5 volts out. You might get
Right.
some light, but it might kind of fry your
Yeah.
PCB.
And it's not
So
going to be able to also give you probably the
give
power
you
that
the
you need.
dimming feature, right? Because this you can
Right.
control the lighting features, and it looks really gorgeous. So I mean, I'm really happy with this. When I got it, it completes. Now I want toppers for all my arcades. Now I got to go back and shop for more stuff now. But do you have this on your arcade? Like, do you have a real Dragon's Lair, or do you have just the arcade
So
one up?
I have an II arcade version,
Okay,
and I do have it
got
on
it.
top of that. And that's actually
Got it.
in some of my photos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we saw that on your website. You had the iArcade version of it too. So yeah, that's the topper. I mean, it's completely gorgeous. It's now lit up there, looking great. I have another mod that I'm going to be showing off a little bit, but before I get there, Joe was also really nice to send me a bezel for the MK30th. So talk a little bit about this. Do you do a lot of bezel mounts like this too? This is just like a bezel topper that just fits directly on top of it with the moves list. Do
Yeah.
you like making little things like this too?
Yeah. So one of the reasons I came up with this process is obviously if we were making full bezels, again, guys have to take the cabinet apart. I've had some people saying, "Oh, how do I get the top screws out?" And I'm just getting all these simple questions that are ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, if I got to tell you how to take the screws out, then I don't. It's crazy. So I'm like, all right, what can I do so that really you don't really have to disassemble or do anything? And really just the two screws in the center, and actually I could see you don't even have them in. You don't really have to, but
Exactly.
you could just take the two centers out and it goes in. But what's good about that, and the reason I did that, if I have an MK2, MK3, MK1, you can just swap them right out within a second. You know what I mean? If you had the full bezel inside there, you're not going to
Mhm.
switch that out. You'd have to take the
Yeah.
whole thing apart. You'd be there for hours. So that's not going to work. So what could I do to integrate something that could be quick swapped out immediately? I did this first method with the Killer Instinct because,
Mhm.
obviously Killer Instinct 1 and 2, I wanted to do something like my toppers, they can slip in and out. If you have an MK, you can do 1, 2, or 3 and just pull them in and out. So I wanted to integrate that into a bezel version. And just make it just as simple. I mean, that's probably about the easiest mod you could do because you
Yes,
literally don't have to
essentially.
do anything. Just set it there. You can't screw it up.
I know. I really appreciate you sending me that too. That was a gift because I actually bought the topper. And we talk about simple mods. Your replacement acrylic color mod for the Marquee to improve the Marquee. These Gen 3 Marquees over there on my Marvel vs. Capcom, this just slips right over, but you do have to remove the art. But this was so ingenious. What came up with the idea to just do like a slip-on kind of cover?
I was gonna do one of these versions for the original one up, like when they weren't coming lighted. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
I've been wanting to do it, and people ask me, and I mean, I probably could have made 1,000 of them by now, but I just kept holding off because there's just sit there and have to make the lighting and the box. I didn't have the time to do it, and with the cost trying to be the cost factor that people want, I just didn't see it working out for me. So when
Done.
they first came out, when they
That
first
was
came
it.
out
I
with the new
just slipped it
lighted
on top.
box,
Uh-huh.
and there's competitors out there that are making the light box and you're taking it apart and
Yeah.
you're doing all this. I'm like, could I do that? Because people are like, well, why don't you do that? I mean, you don't think I could do that? It's not like I can't do it. It's just you don't need to do that. Why would you need to do that? Now, let's just say that, this game has a couple different titles. You could swap out. Again, it's all about the convenience, and there's no time to change it. You literally just pull it off. Takes
That was
seconds.
so good. Look at this. And so you do recommend pulling off the actual
Oh yeah,
artwork,
you
right?
absolutely have
Yeah.
to. I mean, because you're
Yeah.
gonna get a ghosted image. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, but that's nothing to remove, you
Yeah.
know.
So you just
And I
remove that.
guarantee half the guys don't even clean it correctly, but you should really, because probably depending on how long it's been there and stuff, you're gonna have a little bit of glue residue. So
But
in
just
reality, you
look at the
should really,
difference just before and after, even though I didn't even clean it, but you can just tell from the camera like how much better the quality of this is because
yeah,
it's reverse printed. It's so good, Joe. You do such good stuff. So I mean, those are the mods that you sent me. Um, I appreciate you sharing kind of like even your thought process of how you make this as easy as possible for your average person. That just says a lot about you as kind of a business. I will have to say one caveat though, because Joe takes his time to be able to produce some of the best quality things. Here, let me get back over here. There was about a 6 to 8 week production time. Is that your normal turnaround time?
yeah. See, one thing that a lot of people, um, it's hard to relate because you think of Amazon, you think of Arcade1up, and these are all mass produced and things are just manufactured and
Yeah.
somebody's just putting them on a shelf. But that's not what's happening here. And I get that today's world is like fast paced. Everybody's
Yeah.
like, hurry up, gotta have it so fast. But this is just one little small piece of pie of what we're producing. Well, when I
Mm-hmm.
say we're, it's me. I pretty much create, design, fabricate, pack, ship. I do every step of there's not one job that leaves that shop that I don't have 100% hands on
Yeah.
every step of each thing. So the only thing I could blame it on is whoever turned the clocks and made them 24 hours long. You got to blame that person because there's
Yeah.
only 24 hours in a day.
That's
And
it.
another thing that set me back a little bit in the last 10 months, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
is this move. I completely uprooted my business that I've
Yeah.
been in that location for over 30 years. So imagine the amount of
All your production
stuff.
equipment. Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, it was such an expense to move all my equipment. And I
Mm-hmm.
actually even moved that myself
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, there was companies that wanted to charge me $5,000 to move one piece of equipment. I was like, whoa. So I actually bought a flatbed truck and I moved. And my location from my old shop to my new shop was almost 4 hours away.
Yeah.
So
So
I'm over
that's
here. I'm
that's a
trying
big
to do
move.
production. I'm trying to do all the integrative upgrades to the new shop, still keeping the shop running, and then in between trying to keep the work going. It's insane amount. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're always very busy, but that just even made it worse. You know what I mean? Having to move.
Yeah, we did have a quick 599 super chat, 499 super chat for 19K Fox that says, "Hey Joe, the Blitz marquee needs
Oh,
some
it's
help." Is
coming.
that something that
I'm
you
gonna
already
have.
started on?
I absolutely. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I have already redid the artwork years
Okay.
ago for the original Blitz, but I
Okay.
got some really cool toppers and real custom side art and different
Yeah.
things that are coming for that cabinet. So
And it's this style marquee, the Mortal Kombat 1. So it's like the slip in.
absolutely, it
So
just
yeah. So
slot just like the
slot
Terminator,
it
the
in.
same thing.
All right,
Slot it
got it.
in. Yep.
Slot it in. All right. Well, thanks, Joe. I want you to hang out because I want you to, critique and give some feedback about, I would say, somewhat of a newcomer to this space. I had it on my show a couple of weeks ago. His name was Clark from HobbyHands. And at the time, we were just talking about coin doors and, just doing mods for different arcade cabinets. But he had started to say, hey, I'm going to make a waterfall deck conversion for the dragons there. And when I saw it, I was like, ooh, I'm really piqued and intrigued. And so I went out and purchased one. And then I finally got it. We've been chatting back and forth. The clock has been awesome. You know him in the chat, everybody, as HobbyHands, who's been joining our community for stuff. Give it up, everybody. Say hello to Clark. What's going on, man?
How you doing, everybody?
Yeah, good to see you. Are you a Star Wars fan by chance?
Some people might think so.
Yeah, because in addition to my waterfall deck, he was sending me other things like, hey, look what else I can do. So thank you so much. He sent me these really cool lightsaber stands, and I'm a fan of lightsabers, if you couldn't tell. But Hobby Hands, for folks that don't know who you are, why don't you do a quick introduction?
Okay, real quick. My history is IT. I started out in IT, and one day while at work, one of the guys was going to go on vacation, and they said, hey, do you want to run the laser? Do you want to be the backup guy? And I said, sure, why not? I'd never touched a laser in my life, a laser cutter. And so I took that job on for about a week, and I got hooked. And since then, I've worked for various companies. I've worked for other IT companies. I've worked for some companies that did a lot of sign work also. I was semi-involved in it. And then what would happen is they'd go on vacation or something would happen, and then I would have to kind of step in. So it's kind of been a really long process of just learning little bits of how to do everything. And, or not even that, just finding stuff out on my own. One of the last companies I worked for, there was a gentleman, and he'd been doing acrylic cutting, gluing for about 30 years. And I had the great opportunity to work with that company for several years. We became good friends.
What was the name of your website really quick, Clark? The one that you has all your...
So I have two. I have one called the PC Mod Shop.
Okay.
Obviously, I was going to start that out on Etsy as doing PC mods, because I used to do that back in the day also. But it kind of transformed into Star Wars displays and signs for props, not just Star Wars, but other cosplay things also. But I like to follow my interests. And so when Arcade1up came out, it piqued my interest. And I'm like, there's something else that would be really fun to do. And I kind of make things that I would like to have in my own house. And I figure, if I like to have it, maybe there's a few other people out there who would like to have it also. So that's how I work.
This is cool. So you sent me a couple of these display stands, obviously for folks that have either master replica stuff from, I think these displays look fantastic. In fact, I'm going to blame you because you sent me a display stand for a freaking Han Solo blaster, and I don't have a Solo blaster. So I'm like, what am I going to do with this? Oh, now I have to go and purchase a Han Solo blaster. So I'm going to blame you when my wife complains that I wanted
to surprise you with that. I just, honestly, when I watched your shows, I saw the Star Wars stuff and the other toy stuff, and I actually just assumed that you'd have a Solo blaster. So iconic.
You assumed. I know. I have lightsabers. I haven't gotten into guns yet. If there's any guns that my wife actually likes, she really likes Jango Fett's silver blasters. I know there was a master replica that had like both of them. That was really cool. But yeah, we don't have a Han Solo blaster. I have a Princess Leia blaster. Maybe I'll use that and just put it on here. So it might fit maybe appropriately.
It's sized a little differently.
A little bit differently.
I have one for the Defender too.
Okay.
Also, obviously.
Cool. All right. Well, so this is your Star Wars stuff. This is some background on HobbyHands, but you have been providing some other potential updates. So for you put together a mod for the community. I'm going to show it off right now. This is an acrylic replacement waterfall deck. One of the things that people were saying that the Dragon's Lair didn't have from a design perspective, the original Dragon's Lair design, and I'm going to pull that up so it's a little bit closer. Let's make this close. So the original Dragon's Lair cab, if you take a look, just has the Arcade1up logo here, a flat design, the half-inch kind of front, whatever it is, side, and then just this part. So kind of tried to mimic that waterfall that we traditionally didn't see. But what was the inspiration for building something like this as a replacement?
You know what's so interesting is when we originally saw pictures, you remember the original Dragon's Lair with the cell phone?
Mm-hmm.
It looked like they were going to incorporate some kind of waterfall.
Yeah.
I don't know why they went away from that. I think the cell phone, that was a big wah wah wah. But
womp, womp.
Yeah, but the waterfall effect, that would have been great. So
yeah.
I'm not sure what the thought process there was. But again, it was more had to do with suggestions. People suggest something. They're like, hey, can you do this? And so in my mind, I'm like, well, can I do that? Do I have the skill to do that? How would this work? And if it's possible, I'll try and do it. If it's not, well, it's not. But
so you started saying you were working on it, and as soon as I saw that it was online and available, the person who messaged me was Retro530, Laramie Griffith, and it says, hey, Clark has this on his website. Can you what do you think? And I was like, I just ordered one right away as soon as I saw it because I thought they're going to be limited run. So, but this is how it works. This is an acrylic topper that essentially replaces the plexiglass portion of it. So After that, it has this little part that goes up into the bezel, covers the Arcade1up portion of it, goes over the buttons, and boom, you're done. But there was a problem. There was a problem with it. So before I get to that, though, I want to ask Joe, what do you think of Clark's work so far with like offering something like this? Is this something that in the realm of, you know, cool updates that you've seen? I'm just kind of curious from your professional expertise. What do you think of this waterfall deck?
Yeah, I think it's great, but unfortunately for the last 5 minutes, I had no audio. I couldn't hear anything. So I just got it back.
It's all about right now. What do you think of this acrylic mod for you? Like just offering this in addition to all the Dragon's Lair stuff.
I think it's really cool.
Yeah, very cool. So you hear it from Joe Szabo himself. This is really cool, Clark. All right, well, let's get into the issues of this, because how simple it is to replace, all you got to do is just remove the topper. I messaged Clark and was like, Clark, there's a little bit of an issue on my particular thing. If I drop it, the bottom part didn't quite cover the stock image right there. So Clark was gracious enough to message me saying like, oh no, we can fix that and we can do something. So Clark, what's happening now? I consider this now a first gen test product.
Yeah.
What are we working on to fix this?
So what originally happened was I had replaced my front panel entirely, you know, with my own coin door, with my own wood replacement MDF. And so I didn't have that graphic when I was designing and putting it together. And so I just went off the, this is the height of the graphics. And I had not considered, had not entered into my mind that it would be a little bit shorter, because on the original cab, of course, as you can tell, the artwork starts kind of at the curve. And
right there. So it covers the 1UP logo now and goes into it.
Yeah. And then on the Arcade1up, obviously theirs is quite a bit lower because they've just had to place that sticker right on the front. They have that 3/4 inch black bar.
That's right.
So that's kind of where the glitch went. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't even think of that. We might have to.
All right, so for folks that are asking, they're like, wow, what is this guy's website? Is this going to be available? So on not on PC Mod Shop, you do have a new Etsy shop that's called, is it Next Level Arcade Mods? Is this where you're going to be doing
Next Level Arcade? Next Level Arcade Mods, that's correct. That's right. The products are going to grow, obviously, and the Dragon's Lair will pop up again as soon as I get that, make enough to just get them right out, but also fix that glitch, which I'm in the process of doing right now. So
bookmark this website. I have it linked in the description for the actual page right now. So Next Level Arcade Mods, that's where I got it. How much was the cost of that waterfall deck on Etsy for folks that are wondering?
Okay, so one of my philosophies, there are two philosophies. You can sell a few and make a lot of money off them. And I have a friend who does speaker design. As a matter of fact, I am a hobby audiophile speaker designer. I'll show you my little guy here. Oh, let me unscrew these things. This is just a bookshelf I made.
What is that?
It's a speaker.
Oh, cool.
See? Okay. Yeah. I made this, and his philosophy is he wanted to get a product out that people could afford, even though he could probably sell them for a lot more. So I kind of took that to heart. And so I'm not trying to get rich, you know. I like the money, don't get me wrong. But so I try and be fair. So I charge $50, and that includes shipping.
For the deck? I thought it was a little bit more. It
might be 50, 55, but not
something like that. It was reasonable. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Don't sell yourself short, Clark. They're gonna quote you on this when you put it back up. But I have receipts of what I paid for it. I think it was a little bit more. So
well, the other thing I do is one of the things I really enjoy when I build these things is I figure out the least expensive way to do it, the fastest way to do it, so I can get the price down and so I can make money. So, I am making money. Yeah.
I think it was a little bit less than 100, if I'm not mistaken. So don't sell your surf store. People are like, that's it. So definitely.
I did have a version that came with the
with everything else?
with the coin door. Maybe that's what you're thinking of.
Did I? Oh,
I'm
I
not
bought
sure.
the coin doors. Oh, speaking of coin doors, actually. All right, so let's do a couple things. I want to do a couple things and get
Okay.
closer to 10. Put a 1 in the chat if you want one of these for free. For folks that joined a little bit late, Clark was so gracious. We're going to be giving away one of these waterfall decks for your Dragon's Lair cabinet for free. Let me see the ones in the chat if you guys want a free waterfall deck, and then we're going to get into how to do that. But while you do that, one of the other things Clark offered on his website were some coin doors. These are the updated coin doors. I really like the finish that you put on this coin door. Like, what is the finish on this? And tell me about this coin door design.
Well, it's not entirely top secret. It's ABS,
Okay.
and you can get ABS. There are a couple ways to do it. I can finish that off on my own with a technique that I use, but you can buy ABS with that texture on it. So I kind of cheated a little bit, but I really, again, trying to find out a way to make it quicker for me to make, less expensive, and that was getting something that already had a texture on it ready to go.
That's right. Well, cool. That was the coin door that I got for my mods. I'm going to check out. But hashtag HobbyHands is what you're going to need to put right now into the chat. And we're going to be giving away one of your waterfall decks right now. So let's see how many people can put in hashtag HobbyHands, and we'll get this giveaway going. So HobbyHands will be giving that away to anybody that has it. Hopefully, Mike, do you even have a Dragon's Lair? Mike of All Trades is like, I want one, even though I don't have a Dragon's Lair cabinet. So, you know, people could be doing a lot of different things. So you got a lot of people dropping in HobbyHands. We'll let this run for a little while in the background for right now. But yeah, this is really cool. Do you have any other mods planned for Dragon's Lair or any other Arcade1ups, Clark?
Okay, so I have one for Dragon's Lair coming up soon. I've been asked about it a few times, and it's about the square speaker grills. So I've been going through, I'm going to probably do 2 different versions, just a quick snap-on replacement. I showed that briefly last time in the last video we did. They were just covers that magnetically snapped over the circles to make them square. And the other thing, I actually want to replace that entire front so it looks a little bit more like the original with the grills installed already. But that one I'm still working on both of them. But
no, to your point, what you're talking about is right on the Dragon's Lair cabinets. In the original arcade, I think render, it was square speaker gates, right? Because that's closer to the original, and then they went with their standard stuff here. But let me go back to Joe and just ask him, when you saw this Dragon's Lair cabinet come out, did it ever come across your mind to pick this up, or do you have a real one, or were you happy with your iArcade version, Joe?
So I did want to pick one up. I never actually did yet. But I definitely think that they did overall a very good job with, capturing that authenticity of the look.
Yeah.
Like they're going a lot further than they used to. Obviously years ago, everything had the same shape. It was just a different skin. But now they're going through the efforts of doing the fine little details of capturing the shape, doing the controls. Like that's the first of its kind with that marquee like that.
Yeah, this marquee bent shape. And so I guess from a graphic standpoint too, this was one of my, I guess, critiques on the review side of things, is that the print, I think they tried to make it authentic. And so it's hard to tell in the picture, but it's a little bit grainy and maybe the same style. Do you, when you reproduce stuff, do you try to make it HD, or do you try to leave that grainy kind of original look?
If you're dealing with a true arcade enthusiast, that's halftones that you're probably picking up. It's that generation, that time frame, that was the technology, and that was as good as it got. So we're actually in many situations trying to recapture and regenerate that. So
that same
you don't want to
halftone?
remove that. Yeah, you want to try to. Now I can't really tell from this photo. I'd have to see it in hand because I've had originals and I know what it should look like. So it's really hard to tell from the photo. But I'm assuming they just got a scan of one of them. Now it's probably not the best quality overall because they don't usually go to that extra mile, to really go that extra step. But it is truly authentic to have that halftone in that era. For sure.
Yeah, that's cool. That's actually interesting to hear that most people would want the original kind of arcade quality version it. But when I looked at it, not seeing the original for a long time, I was like, it looks kind of grainy. But I guess that's the way it
Right.
looks like when you're trying to produce it.
But
Colors look great on it. Obviously,
if somebody had an original one of
Mhm.
these and you took that out and you sent it to
Mhm.
them, they'd be like, what the hell did you do? Why
Yeah.
did you
Yeah.
destroy that? You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
that's what I
Yeah.
was saying about you're dealing with a different type of collector. You know what I mean? Like these guys that are restoring original
Mhm.
old cabinets that are spending $4,000 on it. You know, they
I
want that thing to be exact.
Reminder, we only have 45 people in the giveaway. Hashtag HobbyHand. Let's see if we can get above 50, and then we're going to be giving away this waterfall deck here. So, Clark, what are some things that people can expect when they get this? Is it just it came with a little nice white cloth as well? Like, what's the production time for people, and how many are you going to have? Because I think people are going to try to visit your site soon and order these. How many are you going to have available?
So what I like to do, and I've gotten myself into trouble before on my other site where I put a product on and all of a sudden I've got, 100 orders, within,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, 1 or 2 days. And then I'm like, oh, okay. And then it takes a while for you to go and build those. So I'm doing things a little bit differently now. I pre-build everything on my sites. So
Mm-hmm.
so they will go out fairly quickly once they are
So you're making a
made.
limited quantity is what you're saying. So the
Yeah.
person who even wins this will get one of limited quantities. And if you want to find out how to get more, well, is there going to be like a notify me list when you do batches?
You
Or
just have to watch out. Typically what I'll do is I'll create a few more each week is
Okay.
how that happens. You just kind of
Okay.
got to keep your eye on my site. And I do have other products that are coming out. But you do videos, right? You probably have
Mhm.
you probably have like 60 mods that you want to do.
Yep.
And you have to decide on which ones you're going to do. I have that same struggle. I have
When you're making products. Yep.
so many products I want to make. Which one do I make first?
All right. Well, here you are. You're going to be having a giveaway. And thank you so much for donating this to the channel to give away to the folks that are listening right now. We have 52 entrants. I'm going to hit the draw button. So the lucky winner of a waterfall deck by Clark from HobbyHands. It better not be Moat because he doesn't even have a Dragon's Lair cabinet. It is Miguel Rivera. He has an Arcade1up in his logo there. So awesome. Congratulations, Miguel. Please email me at kongsrus.arcade@gmail.com. I'm going to put it into the chat. kongsrus.arcade@gmail.com with your shipping information, and I will send it to Clark. And don't pay attention to this guy, Mystery Encoder. He says it's rigged. He doesn't say hoodie get at all. I'll talk to you later, bro. All this guy wants is a hoodie. Hoodie. That's so funny. Joe, do you have an apparel? Do you ever do apparel since you're a graphics guy?
I used 2 years ago
Yeah.
do a little bit of stuff, but not
Yeah.
recently. No.
Not recently. I see. It's
Mhm.
Szabos Arcade stickers and hoodies. I would rock something that you have because you do some
I
cool
had
stuff.
I had a shirt. I mean, I wasn't doing it in house anymore, so I was getting it done, and then that company fell through for me. So I never really. I mean, I probably should because I still had it on the site, but it's just that again one of them other things that I would.
Yeah.
Should I do it? I should do it. I was gonna do some nice shirts that are even embroidered, you know what I mean, and hats, but just never get around to it. But every order
Yeah.
does come with a decal at least.
Yeah, I saw that too. Okay, so let's start ending the stream. This is the last thing I'm going to be doing for this particular cabinet. My guy Larry Griffith couldn't join today, but he sent me and I ordered some light up kind of a kit that you just drill a hole and you put two LEDs here to light up these buttons, plugged into your PCB. So that'll be the last thing I do on here. I have the waterfall deck. I'm going to get my replacement from HobbyHands. I might even do a giveaway for this, I guess, pre-production prototype version. I'm not going to need it once it's all done and I get my other one. So stay tuned. I might do another giveaway for this one here. All you would need to do is maybe like flip this one backwards, right? You could do that to cover it up. You could do something here. Or if you don't care, there's a little double strip there. There's also another little error there, Clark, if you didn't. We saw a little off-on switcheroo there.
Yeah.
So we can give that one away at a later time. But also, Joe Szabo, I mean, this topper was, literally fire. So thank you so much for offering this to the community. I think my Dragon's Lair is now it's literally the middle of my arcade. and it stands out the most. And I'm so happy with this. So Joe, any final thoughts on, you know, this product? Other things you want to mention to the home arcade space? Things you have going on?
I mean, I'm always going to have new products. We're constantly working on new things, but like he mentioned, time to do it, trying to get the work out, and having free time to design new things. It's a challenge. So just be patient with me and always keep checking back, because I'm constantly coming up with new ideas and new products for future cabs, and it's never going to stop.
That's right. Check out Joe Szabos Arcades. Our Szabos Arcades is what it looks like here. This is a custom topper. This was not on the original arcade. Was there an original version of a topper for Dragon's Lair? No? It's just a secondary monitor sometimes for some games, right? Versus an actual arcade topper. So this is custom. You will not find this on any original. I wonder if there's folks that would have an original Dragon's Lair that would add this on there. I think it would be a nice topper to add to.
I do sell that as an option. So
yeah. For the full size cabinet. Is it a little bit larger when it's scaled?
It is.
It's a little bit. Okay, got it.
Yeah, it's got to be scaled to the width of the cabinet.
Yeah, to make it fit properly. All right, so that's Szabos Arcade. He also has a ton of other stuff. So check out his website. Lots of good stuff. Beautiful, beautiful here. Can't wait to see your next game room tour, Joe. So that'll be awesome to see that. All right, HobbyHands, stay tuned. Clark, what else you got going on?
So I am coming out with some other products for some of the different arcades that I have here. I'm kind of working with some stool ideas, trying to finding prices on stools. One of the benefits of doing this, I am a one-man shop, like a lot of us are. Well, let me take that back. I'm a two-person shop now, because I recently made it a family affair. I hired my daughter. She was going to go out and get a job, and I said, why don't you come work for me? And so I'm training somebody new, and that's been great. And so that's going to allow me to have more time to come out with new products. Suggestions. I love suggestions. I saw a suggestion about the Street Fighter Blue with the square grills. I'm gonna look into that right away.
There it is. You got some good recommendations from this as well. Joseph says, if I get a replacement, can you have the defective one? We'll do something. We'll figure out a way to give out that defective one. It's still good. It's still, I feel bad that it's defective, quote unquote, but it does have that, and as well as the off and on logo was actually reversed. So if you don't mind, we'll talk about that as well. But you got it fixed, right? No other ones are going out?
It's all part of business. We all make mistakes, right?
That's right. It's all good, and I'm sure Joe Szabo even has a site on a section that says blemishes, right? Does that happen often? Like what's that?
It does. I mean, I keep my level. I try to keep my quality level so high. If there's any kind of problems, you know, just things happen. I mean, if you're printing enough stuff, and I have actually uploaded probably 100 new items that aren't even. They're still in draft mode, so. I just need to get in there. It takes time to go through and make sure what's wrong with it. That could be too short, too long, a little scratch, wrong colors, whatever it is. But certain situations, people would rather save a little bit of money just to have that.
Just to have a version of
it. There's going to be soon about another 100 items added to the blemish bill.
Blemish bills. All right, so there you go, HobbyHands. You got a way to put together a Blemishville version of the ones that a couple people have this version out there in the wild. So, you know, we might have a couple of them out there that you could do something with. But it's been a pleasure, both you guys, so much. Appreciate you guys jumping on. Joe, HobbyHands. We'll see you guys next time. Hang out backstage for a second. Have a great day, everybody. Talk to you later. Bye. Wait, so Mr. Encoder is going to be so mad at me. Somebody wants to know about a Commodore C64. So who has a C64 behind them? Is that you?
I do. So I have a couple. I have this is the recreation. It's the C64, but I also have a real one. Let me get out of the way. Oh, I fell. So
this is all your fault, Mr. Encoder. Look at you.
So in the back, I have kind of my like gallery or my little museum of vintage computers that I have.
All right, I think that's good enough for show and tell. All right, thanks so much. I just wanted to let him know. All right, bye.